East Coast mountains look old and settled. The maps look clean. Most people think the rules are just suggestions for tourists, but if you dig into the federal codes and the geology, you find a different story. Some trails end at a gate that isn't just wood and metal. Some cliffs carry fines that cost as much as a used car, and some rocks have changed chemically in ways a boot sole can't handle. We are counting down the top 10 wildest regulatory traps and geologic hazards in the East. These are places where the landscape and the law overlap in strange ways. The penalty for missing the details can be a rescue bill or a federal charge. The reward is seeing the map for what it really is. And the stakes are active today because gravity and rangers are both working right now. Fact number 10. The purple paint, legal line blowing rock in North Carolina looks like one big scenic area. You see a cliff, you see a trail, and you think it's all open to walk. But this is where the first trap waits. The blowing rock attraction is private property that charges admission. The woods next to it might be public. The Gap is thinking that a lack of signs means you are safe to roam. Here's the thing. North Carolina law allows landowners to use purple paint to mark boundaries. It's not a rumor. Statutes describe an 8-inch vertical purple mark as a legal no trespassing notice. These marks can sit on trees every 100 yards. That is about the length of a football field, so you might step off a public trail to get a photo of the gorge. You might cross a line marked only by a stripe of paint on a pine tree. If you cross that line, the law treats it as willful entry. That changes the stakes fast. It's not just a mistake anymore. It can be treated as a misdemeanor. Local security teams patrol the attraction side because the cliffs are steep and dangerous. They often escort people out immediately. If a person refuses or argues, law enforcement can step in. The crazy part is how simple the boundary looks. It's just woods on both sides. Yet one side is a paid attraction with strict safety rails. The other side is open forest. The paint mark is the only thing that separates a hike from a charge. This system is active today. The paint is on the trees right now. It shows how a color in the woods can carry as much weight as a fence. Fact number 9. The invisible ice of summer. Ramsey Cascades in the Great Smoky Mountains draws crowds because it is tall and beautiful. The hike is 8 miles round trip. Most people reach the base, look up, and see the water flowing over the rocks. It looks like a staircase. They think climbing higher is just a matter of balance. But the National Park Service has a specific warning for this spot. They warn that the rocks are muddy and slippery. That sounds like a standard safety line. It's actually a description of a biological trap. The mist from the falls feeds algae on the rocks. This algae forms a thin green film. It can look like dry rock in the sunlight, but under a boot, it acts like grease or ice. So a person steps onto what looks like rough stone, then they lose friction instantly. Past incidents here include falls that resulted in death or serious injury. The park warns about this because they see the pattern repeat. Here's the wild part. The rescue from this spot is not simple. It is 8 miles of rough ground. That means teams have to carry gear in and carry patients out. This is where the money comes in. Federal policy can allow the park to recover costs for search and rescue if negligence is involved. Ignoring a sign that says, "Do not climb," fits that description. Reports on rescue billing mention costs ranging from $1,000 to $10,000 or more. That depends on if a helicopter is needed, so the slip on the algae can hurt you physically, and then the bill can hurt you financially. The algae is growing there right now. The rocks are slick today. Fact number 8. The $5,000 bird, White Rocks, cliff in Vermont looks like a solid wall of stone. Climbers love it. Hikers love the views. But every spring, a legal wall goes up around the physical one. The Forest Service posts a closure order that typically runs from March to August. That is half the year. The reason is the peregrine falcon. These birds use the cliff ledges to nest. The gap here is that the cliff looks empty. You can stand at the bottom and see nothing but stone. You might think, no bird is here, so I can climb. But federal law and park rules don't work on what you see in the moment. They work on the potential for disturbance. A stressed adult bird might fly off the nest if a human gets too close. That leaves eggs or chicks exposed to the cold. So the closure is a buffer zone. It keeps people far enough away so the birds stay calm. The penalty for crossing that line is where it gets heavy. Violation notices can cite federal rules with penalties up to $5,000. That is enough to buy a decent used truck. It can also include up to 6 months in jail. That's insane for walking past a sign in the woods, but the agency treats the cliff as a critical habitat. The closure includes the cliff face and often the trails leading to it. This is happening right now during nesting season. The signs are up, the birds are there, even if you can't see them. It shows how a biological calendar can lock down a geological feature. Fact number 7, the Hidden Wilderness Map. Linville Gorge in North Carolina is known as the Grand Canyon of the East. It is a designated wilderness area. That word wilderness makes people feel like they can go anywhere. It feels like freedom. But there is a hidden map layer called Special Biological Areas. These are zones inside the wilderness that have extra rules. Some of these zones protect rare plants that grow on rock outcrops. Others protect caverns. The trap is that you can be hiking legally on one ridge, then step into a special biological area without realizing it. If that area is under a closure order, you are suddenly violating federal regulations. The Forest Service uses these orders to stop damage to things that grow slowly. A rare plant community might take decades to recover from one weekend of camping, so they close the spot. The penalty for entering a closed area without authorization can be a fine up to $5,000. It can also lead to jail time. What's wild is that you might have a permit for the gorge itself. You might think that covers everything, but the closure order overrides the general permit. Rangers enforce this to keep the gorge from being loved to death. The plants are there today. The orders are on paper right now. It means the wildest looking land often has the strictest invisible boundaries. Fact number 6, the trap of the safe route. Old Rag Mountain in Shenandoah National Park is famous for its rock scramble. It's a granite playground, but it's also a place where people get tired and scared. When that happens, they look for a way out. They see side paths that look like escape routes. Here's the twist. The park sometimes closes these side trails. They might be closed due to ice, rockfall, or erosion, but a tired hiker just sees a path that avoids the hard climb. They duck under a rope or step around a barricade. They think they are making a safe choice, but rangers can issue federal citations for this. The charge can be for failing to disobey a lawful order. The penalty can be steep, with fines up to $5,000 possible under the code. Why so strict? Because these escape routes can actually be more dangerous than the scramble. If they are covered in ice or loose rock, they become chutes. A person trying to stay safe ends up needing a rescue. And rescues on Old Rag are hard work. They take hours and put staff at risk, so the closure is not a suggestion. It is a direct order to stay on the main route. The numbers on the trail markers are there to help rescue teams find you fast. This system is active today. The mountain changes with the weather, and the rules change with it. Fact number 5, the heat and stair filter. Tallulah Gorge in Georgia cuts deep into the rock. The park issues a permit to go all the way to the gorge floor. The permit is free, but there is a catch. They only give out 100 per day. That cap creates a scarcity that makes people want it more. They get the paper and head for the stairs. The stairs are the real gatekeeper. There are over 1,000 steps to get down and back up. Going down is easy. Gravity helps you, but coming back up is a brutal workout. The trap is the heat. In summer, the gorge floor traps humidity. It can feel like a sauna. The park has a rule that surprises people. They will stop issuing permits if the heat index goes over 90 degrees. They also stop them for rain or water releases. It's not just about comfort, it's about rescue load. If too many people go down in the heat, they start dropping from exhaustion. Carrying someone up 1,000 stairs is a massive operation, so the rangers use the permit count and the weather as a filter. If you get caught on the floor without a permit, or after hours, you can face a citation. Reports cite fines around $50 to $200, but the immediate penalty is being told to hike out right now, fast. That rush adds to the risk. The stairs are there today. The heat is waiting. Fact number 4. The two-mountain illusion. Grandfather Mountain in North Carolina is an icon. You see the profile from miles away. It looks like one giant peak, but legally, it is split in two. One side is a state park. The other side is a private attraction run by a stewardship foundation. This split creates a confusing reality on the ground. You can hike in the backcountry state park for free, but if you walk toward the famous swinging bridge, you hit a boundary. The attraction side charges admission. It has gates and security. The rules flip instantly. On the state park side, you are on public land. On the attraction side, you are on private property. If you cross into the private side without a ticket, it can be treated as trespassing. Security staff monitor the entrances. They are not park rangers. They work for the attraction. Their job is to control access. This is wild because the wind and the rocks feel the same. But the legal status changes with one step. People get confused. They think it's all the mountain, but the mountain has a property line running right over the ridge. This split is active right now. You have to know which map you are standing on. Fact number 3. The definition of harassment. The Delaware Water Gap sits between Pennsylvania and New Jersey. It has huge cliffs, like Mount Mincy. Peregrine falcons nest there too. The National Park Service uses a specific word to enforce closures here. Harassment. Most people think harassment means chasing or throwing things, but under the Migratory Bird Treaty Act and park rules, harassment includes just being there. If your presence causes a bird to change its behavior, that is disturbance. If an adult bird flies off the nest because you hiked too close, you have harassed it. The penalties for violating the act can be huge. Discussions of the law mention fines up to $15,000. That is for taking a bird, and disturbance can count as a form of take. The park uses closure orders to make the boundary clear. They cite 36 CFR regulations on the violation notices. This means you don't have to touch a bird to break the law. You just have to be in the wrong place. The rangers monitor the cliffs. They watch for people slipping past signs. The goal is to keep the birds calm enough to raise chicks. It is a federal shield over a wild animal. The cliffs are closed for the season right now. The law is watching. Fact number 2. The federal grass law, Mount Washington in New Hampshire, is famous for bad weather, but the ground itself has a strict law. The alpine zone is the area above where trees grow tall. It looks like a field of rocks and grass. It feels like you can walk anywhere, but the plants here are ancient and fragile. Some grow only a fraction of an inch a year. A single boot step can crush a plant that started growing decades ago. So the Forest Service has a strict rule: stay on the trail. This isn't just good manners. It is a forest supervisor order. Violating it is a federal offense. You can be cited for walking on the vegetation. The fines can go up to $5,000. The maximum jail time is 6 months. That sounds extreme for stepping on grass. But the logic is about scale. There are only a few acres of this habitat in the whole region. If everyone walked off trail, it would be gone in a season. So they treat the plants like museum pieces. The trail is the museum aisle. You can look, but you can't step on the display. This rule is in effect today. The plants are fighting the wind right now. Fact number 1, the gate that isn't optional. The Chimney Tops Trail in the Great Smoky Mountains used to go all the way to the jagged rock summit. It was a famous scramble, but in 2016, a massive wildfire burned the mountain. It destroyed the trail infrastructure, but it also did something worse. The heat was so intense, it damaged the rock itself. It cracked the stone and burned away the soil holding it together. The result is a slope that is now unstable. Loose shale and sliding plates wait for a mistake. The park built a new observation deck that stops short of the summit. There is a gate there. Many people look at the gate and see the summit just a quarter mile away. It looks so close. They climb over the gate. This is the wildest trap of all. The ground ahead is not the same ground it was 10 years ago. It is broken and treacherous. The park enforces this closure strictly. Violators face federal charges. The reason is simple. The terrain is a trap. One slip on the loose rock can lead to a fatal fall. The rescue from that zone puts other people in danger on the same unstable slope. The gate stands there today. It marks the line where a maintained trail turns into a geological hazard zone. It is the ultimate example of how a landscape can change, and the rules have to harden to match it. These 10 places show that the map is never the whole story. The ground has its own rules, and the law has its own lines. Knowing where they cross is the difference between a great hike and a very bad day.